Hello students, welcome to my class. Today I will be taking the second part of this, especially this chapter, which I have already begun. So today, especially I just took in a few classes that is about the prairies and many other parts that you have learned from this chapter. And the last part of this chapter was I just explained you about the economy of this prairie region and how these people lived in this region and what are the like outcome of this activities that they usually do. So today I'll be taking the second part of this another region that is about the veld. And now when we talk about the veld, it is the temperate grasslands which we have already talked about in the first part. So it is also found in some other part of the world. So let us say talk about this one in detail. So this temperate grassland, which is known as the veld, is found especially in South Africa, and it is also known in other word or the other term that is called veld. Okay, the spelling is VELDT. So this is that is the term are used for that. Now let us know about the location of this region. Now when we talk about the veld region, especially it is located in the northern part of the plateau of South Africa. And we know that South Africa, especially we talk about the South Africa, is a very big region, a very big continent, is it not? And then when we talk about the countries, of course, when we talk about the countries, it is comes extreme down, is it not? Extreme down, especially just closer to our Indian Ocean. So let us know here the place location about this veld. Now, actually, this particular veld is actually lie between the Drakensbergs, okay, Drakensberg mountain in the east and the Kalahari the desert in the west. So you might have heard about Kalahari desert, a very big desert, and I think there are some movies also on that. You might have watched in your television channel. So like that, there are some movies even. So here, this particular land, in fact, when we talk about, so this land is actually located in the high plateaus, and when we talk about the mountain sides, that is according to altitude, the veld have been actually divided into three different kinds. That is a high veld, middle veld, and a low veld. It means you must know this region is how it is actually established or maybe situated. So here the highest part is known as the high veld. The land is very high. Its height especially ranges from 1200 that is a meter to 1800 meter. So it means this is the like a measurement that was actually drawn from here. So 1200 meter to 1800 is not a joke. It is a very high veld, and a rich coal like a with water's rand that is runs actually through the center of the high veld. Okay, and here the height of the middle veld ranges from 600 meter to 1200 meter. So this is the middle veld is considered, and the last one, especially when we talk about the low veld, it is from 150 meter to 600 meter. So this is the height or the altitude that is actually measured here. So the veld region is actually drained by the rivers. That is one of the river that is here found, Sabi, very famous river. Then Limpopo, another rivers, and you can find also the river called Val and Orange. Now see, you might have eaten the orange and all, but there is a name of the river Orange, is it not? So you can get this particular river in this region, and their tributaries also found here. So since these rivers are actually flow through the plateau region, so many waterfalls and rapids have been formed actually here. Okay, so it means you can get a huge number of like waterfalls in this region. So now when we talk about the prairies are not the only time of the temperate, but we also have the this veld region where also especially in Africa occur in the most southern portion of the continent, and spreading through the political boundaries South Africa. Okay, so here some names you must remember: Lesotho, then Swaziland, then Mozambique, then Zimbabwe, and another is Botswana. So these are the also the countries are actually quite actually related, and it is also the part of the boundaries in fact for this world. Now you also can see that this ecosystem especially existing in this region is among some of the most recently developed biomes in the world, and the whales are actually rolling plateaus with a varying height ranging from 600 meter to 1100 meter, like I have already recently mentioned. And see, these whales are rolling plateaus with a varying heights. Here the name is mentioned here, that is a drunken bergs. Okay, that is the mountains bound them on the east side. Okay, so here that is a we find. So let us also know a little bit about the climate. Okay, now see, when we talk about the climate, the world have a very mild climate due to the influence of the Indian Oceans. Now you might have seen in the map, which is actually mentioned there in the book, page number 198. So the below the climate, that paragraph you can see there are some oceans are mentioned in the what called like a Atlantic Ocean, and also we have the Indian Ocean. So this particular world is actually close to the Indian Ocean. Therefore, when we talk about the climate, so here the climate is here mild climate due to the influence of the Indian Oceans. Now winters are actually cold and dry. So this is the another peculiarity that we find in this region. It may say during the winter season, it is cold of course, but at the same times you can see the dry, and the grasses are seems to be very brown looking. So therefore you can find in this region which are the things are actually occurring. So especially when we talk about the cold, one name is mentioned, there is a Benguela current which flows actually along the west coast, also influences the climate of the region. Okay, and the summers are actually warm and wet. So here that is we can find with the day temperature reaching up to 22 degrees Celsius, and the rainfall occurs during the summer months only here. Then again, it actually decreases towards the west, where the veld merges with the Kalahari Desert. So the winters are actually cold and dry, of course I mentioned, and then deserts, especially here, as the rainfall actually is scanty in the winter months, droughts occur frequently. So you must remember here, the places are dry when we talk about, it may say certainly there is a possibility of occurring the droughts. It may say the dryness is a extremes maybe, therefore the lands are actually losing its greenery, and then you can find that there is a lack of water, and when there is a lack of water, certainly you can find that the lands are actually getting cracked, and then you can see the everywhere dryness. So that is we find here. So these are the climate that we find in this world region. So now we have learned about the this especially location, we learn about the land, and then we learn about the climate. Now let us talk about the vegetation, especially here I just want to mention about the temperature that is actually found in this region is here the temperature actually varies between 5 degrees Celsius and then 10 degrees Celsius even in some places, and in the month of July especially is the coldest month they consider. Okay, here, and the annual rainfall actually received here mainly in the summer months from November to February. So these are the months also calculated. So let us talk about the natural vegetation. Now when we talk about the natural vegetation, especially here the climate and altitude of the region affects the natural vegetation of the world. Now when we talk about the climate and altitude, so looking at the height of this region, the climate is differently actually mentioned here. So especially when we talk about the landscape is actually dominated by grasses and bushes here. Okay, all the landscape that we find here, the grasses, especially when we look at the some pictures. So let us know here which are the things actually scattered over here. So scattered trees are actually found along the stream banks, and a red grass grows in the middle veld, and then acacia and marula grow in this high veld. Then wildlife in this veld includes lions, leopards, then cheetahs, then kudus, giraffes, then oryxes, and springboks. So these are the animals are found over this region. So when we talk about the natural vegetation, it's very simple. It means vegetation actually covers is relatively very sparse here, and acacia and morula, of course I mentioned, are found in this region. So here in the high-rise areas, animals like cows and buffaloes also found in this region. Okay, so that is the animals part that we see here. Okay, in the next part that we will be discussing about the people in the world and their economies. Okay, so here what the work they actually do in this region. Now see, Wales are actually known for cattle rearing and mining. So these two, the business or the two activities actually done in this region. So these activities are actually very famous in the region. Maize, barley, then potatoes and oats are actually main crops of this region due to this climatic condition. So minerals, ores available in this region. Okay, so rich reserve of the minerals are found in this region, and many iron and steel industries in these places where coal and iron are actually present. So we find here. So one of the famous name, that is Johannesburg, is known as the gold capital of the world in this region. So you have to keep in mind. So therefore, when we talk about especially the main occupation of these people of this veld region is cattle rearing and mining. Out of that, here the grasslands are also ideal for cattle and sheep rearing. Then the warm and the wetter eastern part is actually ideal for cattle rearing. So they have what called systematically categorized here. So while sheep are actually reared in the cooler and drier western part of this region. So here cattle is reared for the dairy products. So we have seen in a prairie region also there are dairy products, and I have already mentioned about that. So here especially dairy products, then again leather, the leather that we get out of this one. So here meat for both domestic and export use. So here meat also actually supplied. It may say these are the all economic activities found in this veld region. So let us at the last part of this activity that we find here, the sheep rearing is very important. They are considering here. So sheep rearing is a practice in this high veld, and sheep are actually reared for wool. That we find a blanket, coat, sweater, all these things are actually made out of that. So wool is actually here true. Okay. Then the merino sheep are fine quality and yield fine quality wool also. And then mohair is obtained from the Angora goats. South Africa is the largest producer of mohair in the world, and when we talk about this region, it may say it has got a big name and fame. Okay, so the second largest exporter of merino wool in the world after Australia. It may say Australia is considered the number one. Okay, and the second one is this region. Okay, then again, as the region is rich in minerals here, such as like gold, uranium, diamond, coal, and iron ore, mining is an important activity, as I have already mentioned here. So again, steel, metal products, machinery, and railway equipments are actually common, and the diamond mines of Kimberley are the world famous, and agro-based industries in this region include dairy, food processing, woolen, textiles, and leather are available. And let us also complete this chapter here about the transport and cities. Now the veld region has a good network of roads and railways. The major towns have a domestic and international airports even. So due to a number of waterfalls, rapids, the rivers are not navigable. So South Africa has three capitals, that is Pretoria, there is mentioned executive, Cape of Town, that is legislative, and the Bohm Fountain, that is a judicial. So three like that is mentioned, three capitals. Okay. So Pretoria is the major center for the iron and steel and railway equipment. Then Johannesburg, the gold capital of the world, and is an important industrial and a commercial center. So these are the few things that we find here. So mining is done to extract natural resources like minerals, petroleum, which are actually used by us, and how we can see here how much the things are activities are actually going on, and how much people are actually advanced in this region due to this existence of this mines and other facilities. Okay, so let's say that is about the veld region. So hope you understood, and if you have not understood, please you repeat this video, and then you can get understood about it. All right, so if any doubts, you can just comment me, or you can make a message through WhatsApp. Okay, so thank you, and have a good day ahead.